it's end of week 4, and in this week I have learnt quite a lot of stuff, to be fair. So I wanted to now, instead of just picking, going here and going, or if I duplicate this one, go in here and just picking one of these that Logic stock instruments. Why did that do that? I just wanted to kind of create my own. So I was watching this video, where is it? I was originally going to do synths, but I thought I'd do a bit more research on those. So I decided to do Logic stock instruments instead. Well, I was watching this video on synths anyway, and this man here, he goes on to talk about how you can access the synths and all that by, if you go here, software instrument, and here, I didn't know this, but you can access all synths, studio horns, strings, and this is where you can then develop them. So I then went studio strings, and I pressed create, clicked on it, and then it brought this up, which I didn't know about, which I have now developed. So I picked violin for the first one, and I'll show you. So this is how I did. I created 3 of these then. I experimented with these in 3 different instruments. I did strings, I did bass trombone, and then I did ensemble strings. So these strings, I chose violins. I decided to have the dynamics off and the monophonic off. The articulation I chose sustain. And then for the cut off, I put it to 60%. I didn't like it. I had it at 40% at first, but I didn't like how it sounded. The volume, I've put it at minus 12 dB. The attack, I wanted it to be quite, how would you say, sharp, but not too in your face. So, and then I had the release at 40. So then once I'd got the right sounding instrument that I wanted for the strings, I then started developing and creating more depth about in different areas of the piece. So for this is what it would sound like on its own. And this is with. So I did that at the end as well. I just basically made it thicker in different areas, so it's not too it's not monophonic basically. It's more polyphonic. You have different layers and textures in different areas, so it's not just all one melody and a melody line on its own. Same here. So that would be without it. So it's just added a bit of depth in places, but again, I'm not using the stock instruments, I'm actually making these to how I want it to sound. Again, at the end I've added it so it complements the end. So yeah, that's that one. And then I didn't want to do a string. I wanted to do a different, like a brass instrument, but it doesn't sound like proper in-your-face brass. So I picked a bass trombone, and then I did it exactly the same way, but pressed horns instead. This time I've put monophonic on and the dynamics. I've again picked sustain. This is how I've put my settings, because if you now listen to it, it doesn't actually sound like a bass trombone two in your face. It's really soft. And again, I just added texture, and by added that nice little soft instrument in the background of places. So here.
There's no one left for us.
So you can hear it. It's really soft. And then again, I did the same with ensemble strings. Here I have added reverb onto both of these two. This one I haven't, because I didn't know whether I should add it or not and have one without reverb, but probably looking back I probably will next week add reverb to it. But then this one I've added reverb and did the same again, but I picked a different instrument this time. I picked string ensemble. I've added a scented sustain instead of just sustain. I've had dynamics off on this one, but I've had auto voice split on this one, and it sounds a bit like this. So I've just added, it just adds depth into a lot of places that are like monophonic throughout, and it just needs a bit of other melodies or other parts contradicting it, or complementing it, as I'd say. So yeah, the piece is done. I am now onto the Logic stock parts. So yeah, I think that's going well. And then I'm also gonna, next week, as I'm doing plugins and that, I'm gonna go outside of Logic and look at plugins online to bring them into Logic. So yeah.